Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Christmas card, which I showed on my blog during the week. The features on this card that I'm going to be showing you how I did, one is the drummer boy. I've heat embossed him using one of our inks and clear embossing powder. If I tilt that you can see, there we go. Okay. And I'm also going to show you how I did this sentiment. It's all one stamp, but I've got the 3 words in early espresso and the little decorations either end and the stops in between, they're in Emerald Envy. This is also up on dimensionals, as is the little boy. And then inside the car there's another sprig of what I assume is mistletoe. Okay, I did do, this is the one that I actually showed on my blog during the week, and for this one I used Old Olive, otherwise it's all the same, but I just wasn't so happy with the colour on this one, which is why I changed to Emerald Envy. So I feel much happier with this one. Okay, so this is the colour I'm going to be using today. So to start off with the card pieces that you're going to need, you need a card base in Whisper White, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8, or 21 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. Then you need 2 pieces of Emerald Envy, and they should measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, or 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres. And then 2 pieces of Whisper White, and they should be 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, or 10 by 14 centimetres. And then you need a scrap for the drummer boy and also this sprig of mistletoe. And I've got a piece that's about 4 inches by 3 inches, which is going to be ample, big enough, and that is 10.25 by 7.5 centimetres. So I'll start off with the stamping first. So that's the inside, that's the boy and the sprig, and that's the inside piece. All of these pieces I do have ready on the side here, otherwise it would take me a long time if you had to sit and watch me doing the painting. So what I will do is I will start it off, show you exactly what I've done, and then once I feel that I've shown enough, I will bring the completed bits in and then move on to the next section. Okay. First of all, I am going to do the inside of the card, which is this. My stamp set that I'm using is called Musical Season. I think this has probably got to be my favourite stamp set for this Christmas. I absolutely love this little drummer boy. I think this is fantastic. I love the music instruments as well, and I've used this. I've still got to use these two, but this comes with a set of framelits, which is these. We'll be using those two, one for the mistletoe and one for the drummer boy. But there's also a die for the lyre. There's also one for the mandolin, but you also get one for, I think that's a horn, and one for the musical note. Sorry, I'm not a music person, so I don't know what they call that. But it's a great set. And apart from those 2 sentiments, I think I've used all the bits. So on this one, I said was the inside, so I'll keep those there. So I'm going to use my holly, mistletoe rather, so used to saying holly. So I'm going to stamp this using my basic black Archival ink. I'm going to move that over there so I don't get it dirty. Now you will notice that I have actually cut excess rubber off of my stamp. I did that because I just kept being heavy-handed with my stamp, and I kept getting that extra line round the edge, so I've cut mine off. Please, please, please remember, if you do that to your stamps, your guarantee with Stampin' Up will be null and void for that stamp set, because you have actually damaged it yourself. Now the reason I don't worry about it is because once I've used a stamp, I really don't expect to have any problems with it after that. And I've been a demonstrator for 5.5 years now, which is a long time. If there was going to be a problem, I'm sure it would have happened by now. But do please just bear that in mind if you do decide to do what I've done. Right, I'm just going to ink that up nicely with my black Archival ink. I'm putting it down in the bottom right hand corner and just giving it a press, making sure that I don't rock it. There we go. Put that there. Leave that one to dry while I do these. Now this one is for the front, so I'm going to do this sprig and then this sprig, and you can't really see it from here, but you may be able to work out that the tail of that one is down here and the tail of that one is up here, so there's a gap between them, which is why I covered it up in the middle. Right, let's bring this one back again. Now I know that I need to position this so that it's about 1 inch down. So if I pop that on there, because I've got my inch side facing up, I know 4 squares is 1 inch. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to be 1 inch there. And inwards, I'm just going to guess that that's about 1/2 inch, and that's probably about 1/4 inch down. It's just, I'm starting off trying to get that level about right, and then everything else will fall in place. So ink that up again, and I'm heading for that line there, about 1/2 inch in and 1/4 inch down. So that's about there, and give that a nice press, not too hard. That's good. Now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to do the same, only I'm going to come down that side, so you can see there's going to be the gap between here. Again, I'm going to try and go for the 4 inches down here, and then 1/2 inch in and 1/4 inch down, although at the same time, not although, but trying to measure it up about the same as that one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking through there. I was looking through my block then to see, count down on the squares. Okay, there we go. That's fairly straight across there. I'm not after perfection with this. And then this one, I need some more mistletoe, because that's going to be the one that I'm cutting out for here. So this doesn't matter which way I stamp it. I just remember that I've got to get the drummer by the side of it. Okay, so give that a nice pressing. That's good. And now I'm going to do the drummer boy here. Because I'm using ink and VersaMark, the result isn't going to be perfect. If I bring this up close to you, if you have a look, especially on that little bit there, the boot, and bit round there, you will see that it's a bit lighter, and I will tilt it sideways so that you can see this isn't totally smooth all over. You can see the bumps there. Okay, right, now let's see if I can get the boots up to you. So you can see where it gets a bit lighter. But for me, that is excellent. I think that is just absolutely great. I know that I'm not going to get perfect results because I'm not using coloured embossing powder, but I love this. If it's perfection you're after, this won't suit you. I personally find that this technique works fine virtually every time if you're using sentiments, but I'm using a really thick stamp, so I'm probably pushing my luck doing this, but as you've seen, I do get very good results with it. So what I'm doing first of all is I'm inking my stamp with VersaMark, and then I'm going to ink it with Emerald Envy ink, and I'm just making sure I've got ink all over my stamp. As you can see, I've pressed far too hard on that and I've got it all over the stamp, so I've got to be very careful. So now I'm going to put it on here. Now I should have got my clear embossing powder ready. I keep mine in one of these boxes because it's just nice and easy, saves any mess. Right, let me get back to concentrating on this to give it a good press. If I get some of the outside lines on it, I'm not too worried because this is going to be die cut anyway. It's only if I've got outside lines and it's touching my drummer board that is going to spoil it. There we go, see that hasn't come up very well at all. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to get another piece of paper and try that one again. I think possibly because I spend a lot of time talking while I'm explaining things. Let me see if I can find a piece without having to cut another one. This should be alright, I think. Let's try this. And I'll tell you what I didn't remember first time. I didn't remember to use my Embossing Buddy, which I should have done. Now obviously when you're working like this with your VersaMark first and then ink, if you need to do it again like I am, you need to clean your stamp. So I'm just going to bring my I don't know what we call this, Stampin' scrub. So that's to wash it. As you can see, I've rather inked this a lot. I've been playing with this a lot this afternoon. There we go. I'll just dry around the edges there because I do have my Stampin' scrub rather wet. Right, let's see if we can do a better one on here. If not, it's not the end of the world because, as I say, I do have all the bits already over there. Okay, so this is the VersaMark again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this without talking. See if it makes a difference. Much better, much better. As I say, I'm not worried about that bit in between his feet because that's going to be die cut off. So just dunk that straight into clear embossing powder. Okay. And then I'll hold this with some tweezers. In fact, I'll put this away first after getting some on my finger. Okay, get my heat tool. This is going to create a little bit of noise, but it doesn't take long. And I will hold it away for a couple of minutes to give it a chance to heat up. So bear with me for a few moments. So can you see the lighter patches on his shoes again? But you can see how it's all gone very nice and glossy. Okay, so that one is one piece that needs to be die cut. Oh, this is the other one that needs to be die cut. So I'm going to first of all show you how I colour these in, because they are all the same. Okay, so first of all I start off with my Emerald Envy marker pen and I go and do the leaves. Nothing fancy, just colour and stay within the lines. There are certain areas where each time I do it, and I've done loads of these now, given that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 for each card, and I'm on my third card now. Oh, and the ones that I've got ready beforehand. There are certain areas I think I'm not quite sure whether that's a leaf or whether it's a berry, but whatever your eyes tell you it is, that's correct. Also, another thought is, if you don't like the heat embossing for the drummer boy because it's not good enough for you, you could just stamp it as Emerald Envy ink. You don't have to worry about doing the embossing bit. It's just that I quite like doing the heat embossing. I just find it very, very clever that you can do an image like that, which is quite a chunky image, using ink and clear embossing powder. Okay, so that's what I do. Go up with all the leaves. I think I just went over a berry then. Never mind. And then I use the early espresso to colour in the twiggy bit of the branch. And again, whatever you decide is part of a twig is part of a twig. I will come back and finish this off later on once I finish the video, so nothing will get wasted. So there's that, and then I go over the mistletoe berries with my Wink of Stella, which I really seem to have been using an awful lot recently. The card that I showed on my blog today, I used the large bell out of, what was the stamp set I used today? Oh, Darling Christmas. And I went over all the outlines, and the outlines of the bell, the outlines of the decorations inside the bell, and also all the writing with my Wink of Stella. And then I went over it again. It was amazing how much more glittery it came up the second time around. So this needs to be die cut, that needs to be die cut. This one here magically is all painted there, exactly the same as I've done it here. And this one is all magically painted. And I also have that die cut and that die cut, but I'm going to use this drummer boy because I like the way it's come out a bit better than that. That one, the boot, is a lot lighter, so at least by doing it that way I had the choice. So I'm going to bring my Big Shot up. Let me put this powder away. I think the dip goes downwards. Right, okay, so that's the boy and that's the mistletoe. It's not going to be quite so easy to colour it in once I've die cut it, but I'll manage. Okay, so there's that one. You see, the die is going to miss out that little bit totally. I'm just going to tilt this so that I can see whether I've got it lined up properly or not. Let's just move that over a bit. Otherwise I think that's okay, and the mistletoe looks fine. Okay, so that's the drummer boy. Then that's the ivy, the holly last time, ivy now, the mistletoe, which I'll get finished later. I'll put it with those. Right, so we don't need this anymore. I think all we really need to do now is to assemble our card. Right, so this is for the front. I'm going to put that piece on there. Yep, that's good. I'm using Tombow as always. You can use whatever your preferred glue is. Fast Fuse would work brilliantly. Tear and Tape would work brilliantly too. Come here, tweezers. That looks good. Now I'm going to pop it onto my card. Make sure I'm putting it up the right way. Now I'm going to do the inside of the card. Not got that over very straight. That's better. And now to put it inside. Okay, make sure I get it around the right way. Got some glue on there. I'll clean that up afterwards. That was on my thumb. Right, okay, so now, oh, we've got to do the sentiment, haven't we? Right, but the sentiment, I have prepared my Stampin' jig with this because I am going straight onto my card. Right, as I say, what I've done here is I've got two colours. I've used Early Espresso for Peace, Joy and Love, and I've used Emerald Envy on the two decorations and the two dots. Now I've actually prepared this beforehand. I find that it's a lot better if you've got 2 or 3 coats of the ink on there, because you paint it and then you huff on it afterwards to moisten it. But the one thing that I wanted to explain to you about this is when you're painting this, and I'll show you, I'll do the green. Okay, so just paint over that. It doesn't matter if you do it 2 or 3 times. I find that I get better results the more times I've painted on it. Now when I'm doing this, when I come to these, if I get a bit clumsy and I touch the brown or that one, the way to correct that is if you use one of our blender pens, then you can just go on here and lift the colour up. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to imagine that I've got the green onto the L, so I'm just going to go on there to take the colour off. Okay, and then I'm scribbling it off onto there. But you can see I can take colour off of there. I see that on the love. Now that's taken the supposed green bit, if we imagine that that's what I've done. I've taken the green off of it, now I can put my brown back on. Okay, so that's what you do if you put the wrong colour on the wrong place or in the wrong place. Or maybe you were doing something and you thought, no, I don't really want that to be that colour. You want to change your mind. If you've done everything else, it's just that one little bit that you want to change. You don't have to wash it all off and start again. Just use your blender pen to remove the bit that you don't want. Okay, so there we go. Get that all painted again. Just put an extra bit on there because I've lifted that. Right, so those out of the way. Decide where I want my peace, love and joy, and try and make sure that I've got it straight. Let's get my card straight first, and I'm in with a chance, I think. Right, without getting my head right over that, I think that looks straight. So I'll bring my Stampin' jig and fit it onto the corner of my plastic sheet. Move that away, hold this one in place, and then I need to huff on this, make sure I keep it up the right way. I really don't like doing this on a video, so please excuse me. And then slide the block down in the corner of the Stampin' jig. just give it a press down. There we go. That doesn't look very straight from where I am. Oh, maybe it is. Well, that's fine, that's good. If you did something like this and you found that you'd made a mistake, obviously the easiest thing to do is to do it again on a strip and put the strip over the top of that. Right, now these two pieces I need to put dimensionals on, and I am using just the mini dimensionals for this, if I can find what I've done with them. Oh, here they go. Right, that's it. One of the good things about using a pair of tweezers for putting these on in such tight spaces, you can actually see whether your dimensional is going in the right position or not, whether it's going to be showing over the edges. I do tend to put extra ones on if I'm not sure about whether they're going to... I don't like the idea of the centre of my images bending, especially if it's one of those that finishes up actually being posted. So, and I mean, dimensionals aren't expensive, so no great shakes of putting more on than is really necessary. And I have to say, I really love these minis. Bit of glue there as well. Right, okay, so again with tweezers I can see exactly where I'm going with this. I'm going to have to move that bit of glue first, because once the drummer is on there I'm never going to be able to get close enough to it. Oops. Right, there we go. And now to do my sprig. Definitely a lot happier with this being Emerald Envy rather than that Old Olive, which is a bit surprising because I normally like Old Olive, which is obviously why I used it. Right, now this, it can go any position you like it to go. And I think I will do it... I wonder, have I tried any of them up this way? No, because it's not going to fit, is it? The point is to try and cover that gap, which you can only do if you cover it this way. There we go. So there we go, that's today's project. So we have 2 in Emerald Envy, and we have 1 in Old Olive, which is this one here. So I hope you've enjoyed today's project and I hope you give it a try. If you have any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help you with anything that you need or answer any questions you have. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, please click on the link in the box below and that will take you to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Wednesdays and Sundays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button, and if you feel like giving me a thumbs up, that'd be appreciated. And finally, all the measurements and the products that I've used, they will also all be in the box below. So where it says either see more underneath, or if you can see 2 down arrows, click on the second arrow and it will open up the whole box and all the information will be in there for you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.